what's really good, guys? It's your boy, Hader Ali, FFL Commissioner, and we have a legend in the building, man. The OG, you know what I'm saying? Hall of Fame QB, Mr. Only, one and only, Brett Favre, man. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Hey man, anytime. I mean, look, I had to bring you on, man. I know you sweating a lot in Mississippi right now, and I was like, man, look. I know he's mad at the heat, but let me try to distract him real quick and put him on the FFL podcast. So
You did me a favor. I got to come inside.
that's it. I'm like, man, Brett's outside doing too much lawn mowing and stuff. I said,
Yeah.
man, you got to come in and spend some some time in the AC.
Yeah, it's like 107 outside, actual temperature.
That's crazy, man. That
Yeah.
that definitely is crazy, man. But man, Brett, how's everything, man? How's everything in general?
Well, everything's good. I'm very thankful for a lot of things. I've had two surgeries in January.
Right.
Had my right hip replaced, and I had back surgery in May.
Right.
And one of the repercussions of playing 20 years.
Right.
So I'm still struggling a bit with my back,
Right.
but life is good, man. I can't complain.
Definitely. Hey man, I'm happy you're doing well and with life and everything. And obviously, coming out of Green Bay, man, we have to talk about Green Bay because now, obviously, your guy, Mr. Aaron Rodgers, is out the building. He's out the building and he's with the new team. And once he got to the new team, he looks like a brand new guy. It looks like he just went back 10 years, man. Just, wearing his chains and all that, looking a little younger and all that. Tell me what went down with Aaron Rodgers and what do you think? What could have been the issue where he was like, you know what, man, it's the end of my time with Green Bay. I got to move on.
Well, nowadays it's not uncommon for a guy to switch teams after so long.
Right.
When I first got into the league, an A-list player or a star
Right.
would stay with that team indefinitely.
Right.
Unless he got hurt or didn't play as well and then became tradable.
Correct.
Now you see it. You obviously saw it with Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, myself, and there's a long list of guys. I think what happens is first and foremost is I don't know if stale is the right word, but
right.
You're so used to doing the same thing every day, and a change of venue sometimes is good for everybody.
Right. Right. Definitely.
Me and my wife, we've been married 27 years, and it's always a work in progress, because the more time you spend together, the more distant sometimes you can become, and the same is the case in football or in sports. And so you look around like I did when Aaron was in his first 3 years with us. I was in year 14, 15, and 16.
Right.
Packers. I looked around and everybody was gone that came in with players, coaches. A lot of the front office had changed.
Right.
And I felt like the odd man out, even though I was the longest tenured guy. So I think first and foremost that happens, and so a change of venue, you kind of get reinvigorated.
I definitely agree on that.
Aaron played exceptionally well throughout his whole career, and there's no reason to think that he will play any different for the Jets. Obviously, that's why they got him. But I think, in comparison to my situation and Aaron's situation, they're somewhat similar in that they drafted a young quarterback high, and he sat for a while, and at some point you go, as an organization, we got to find out what this guy can do.
Exactly. I definitely agree on that. Yeah.
And so I think that's where the Packers are, and that's they mutually parted ways, which is a good thing.
Yeah, obviously you was there too. I mean, it's kind of like, man, we were watching this thing over again. Like, it's like you were there for so
Absolutely.
long, and I see you sign over there, man. I know there was a lot of bumps and bruises that went along the way. Like you were saying, the more time you go, the little distance you become, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and tell me, like some of the things that kind of went wrong in Green Bay when you were there. I mean, look, man, over 11 Pro Bowls, I mean, Super Bowls, Hall of Famer. But there's so much stuff that's behind the lines, man, behind the stories that people don't know about. Tell me.
Yeah, I think um, after my last game as a Packer, we lost to the Giants in the
Okay.
conference championship game.
Right.
Uh, that season, my 16th season as a Packer, statistically, was my best of all the 16 years, which is great for me. Not so good for the organization when I feel like, and I'm okay with this. When I say this, it's not, I don't say it maliciously. They wanted to go in a different direction, and had I played poorly that year, it would have made it easy for them to let me go, if that makes sense.
Oh, definitely. It makes sense.
Uh, but they had to find out if Aaron could play, and I totally got that. I think the problem uh, that became what became a problem was I wasn't sure I wanted to play again anywhere,
Right.
which would have been my 17th year. Um, at least the first 2 months after that conference game. The last thing I wanted to think about was football. I was
Right.
heartbroken. It was devastating, and I wanted to just get away from football. So
Right.
when I was pressured for an answer to come back, are you coming back? Are you coming back? Are you coming back? I was in that first 2 months of all season, and I couldn't commit to the team. I couldn't commit everything I needed to commit. So I said, well, if you're asking me right now if I'm willing to come back, no. And they took that as well, he's retiring.
Hmm.
As time progresses, and I use this analogy, and I think we all can relate. Growing up, you're in school. You couldn't wait. Come April, you knew you were counting days to your last day of school.
Right.
And man, here comes the summer. You're so excited. But about 2 weeks before the school season was scheduled to start, you kind of got excited again.
Right.
New classes, new clothes, new teacher, new scenery, and you kind of get excited about it. And that's the way I was. And so, what was different between my situation and the Aaron Rodgers situation is they mutually agreed to part ways. However, that took place. That wasn't necessarily. I wanted to be traded or let go.
Right.
I wanted to go to the team of my choice, and
Right.
uh, that didn't happen.
Right.
So, but it's all good.
What was the team that you wanted to go to? Exactly.
Well, the Packers said that there were two teams interested in a trade. The
Right.
Jets being one, Tampa Bay being the other with John Gruden. Tampa
Right.
Bay was a great fit for me because the offense was the same exact offense that I'd run forever. So I
Right.
wouldn't have to go in and learn a new offense.
All right.
That more than anything, and John Gruden and I were longtime friends. So and they were good, or they were on the verge of being good. Put it that way. So when I left Green Bay for the last time and landed back in Mississippi, by the time I got to my house, I was traded to the Jets. And I was supposed to give them an answer that night when I got home. They didn't wait for an answer. They just traded. But it all worked out. I was playing great with the Jets.
Right.
I tore my bicep, and I hate to make excuses, but I couldn't hit the broadside of a barn
Right.
when I tore my bicep. But I tried to play through it, and
Right.
the rest is history.
I mean, obviously you weren't done, man. I mean, you some people label you as a Vikings legend. You know, tell me,
Well, I had surgery on my bicep,
right,
uh, somewhere like March, April, May of that season after the Jets, and I
right,
felt like a totally new man. I was 40 years old when I went into the Vikings, and I felt like I could throw it any way I wanted to throw it, and I could.
right.
And it was reflected by the team's success. Well, we almost went all the way, but yeah, had I not had surgery, I could not have played.
Definitely, definitely. Well, when you went to, obviously, you know, the Vikings and all these other teams. What do you think? Which was the team that you kind of was like, they never rubbed you the wrong way at all, and they just let you do your thing. You know what I'm saying? Like you were kind of stress free type thing,
Yeah, much like the Tampa Bay decision that didn't happen.
right?
Minnesota was a good choice for me because it was the same offense. Darrell
Right.
Bevel was a longtime friend and coach for me in Green Bay. It's West Coast offense. So when I went in first day of practice, it was like, I was like a coach. I knew the offense probably better than all,
Exactly.
so I could just play freely. I didn't have to think too much, um, and that made a world of difference. And we were an older team. That's good and bad. We
Right.
had a lot of success that year. I had a lot of fun. I felt uh, welcomed with open arms from everyone, including the fans. So it was a wonderful experience for me.
Definitely. And Brett, man, I gotta ask you, what is one of the most craziest moments for you in the league? While you were playing, one of the most things that kind of sticks out, man. Like, man, this was crazy. You know.
Probably my first year in Atlanta.
Okay.
A long time ago. It was 1991.
Right.
Jerry Glanville, Deion Sanders, who, by the way, took me under his wing. But you want to talk about the Wild Wild West? Jerry Glanville would get up the night before the game and say, "Look, I got $500 for anyone takes out the kicker." Back then,
It
stuff like that was, that,
was normal.
I mean, fights every day in practice, just celebrities on the sidelines during the games. MC Hammer
Right.
was at his peak and
Oh yeah, definitely.
was
It
the
was
hot.
definitely a vibe.
He was the hottest thing out there at the time, and he was on the sidelines with us. We were too legit to quit. I mean,
Hmm.
the only thing that wasn't good about it is I didn't play, but
Right.
it was all good. I had a great experience, learned a lot. The pro game is different. Just the length of the season is much longer and no one's holding your hand. You're
Right.
getting paid a lot of money, and you got to show up. You got to bring your playbook. You got to be on time. There was
Right.
a lot of things that, not that you don't have to do those things in college or in high school, but
Right.
they'll cut you in a heartbeat. Uh,
Definitely.
so it was a wonderful experience. I got to meet a lot of great people, longtime friends. Dion and I are still very close today. Uh,
Right.
but it was pretty crazy.
Definitely. Definitely. And obviously these new quarterbacks coming out nowadays, man, they just a little different breed. What are these new guys? You can name them one or two that you kind of following and think, man, they got some skill. They got some skill in their arm for sure, and they got
Which
that little gunslinger like you.
Josh and Patrick obviously are, you know, as good as they come. But then
Definitely.
you have guys like Hebert with, well, I don't want to say, well, it's not San Diego anymore. It's Los Angeles.
Oh yeah, Herbert. Yeah,
Herbert, yeah. That
there you
dude
go.
can play.
Right.
He puts up unbelievable numbers. Uh,
Right.
I mean, there's guys like Russell Wilson, like head scratcher. What is he going to do this year with Sean Payton? Tremendous,
Exactly. Right.
tremendous. Uh,
Right.
at the latter end of his career. Now, he may play 5 more years. He may play 1. I don't know.
Right. For
But,
sure.
It's going to be interesting, like guys like Kirk Cousins, been pretty prolific with the Vikings. Are they going to take it and run with it now that Aaron Rodgers is out of the NFC North? Is Jordan Love, who I think is a very good talent, but you and I and probably most people go, I really don't know. I don't, I really hope he does well.
Right.
I've never met him. Seems very humble and quiet. But what little bit I've seen of him in preseason, in the few regular season games he's played,
Right.
I thought he did very well. He's got big shoes to fill, no question about it. But I'm sitting here trying to think of some guys that
my guy Taylor Henneke used to play like you, man. He used to always say, man, that you was his guy,
Yeah, I heard that. I greatly appreciate that when guys say that. He's scrappy. He's one of those guys that when they're drafting and looking for free agents, he's probably he's overlooked. Oh, we'll take Heineke, and let's make the most. You can't help but pull for guys like that.
Exactly, definitely, and
but then you got like a guy like Trevor Lawrence.
Oh yeah, Trevor.
Year kind of came out of his shell.
Definitely did.
Will that continue? I mean, they kind of went from the outhouse to the penthouse.
Exactly.
Can they stay that way? Can he maintain the play that he had last year? And if so, they have a chance to be very competitive. Now, unfortunately, they're playing in the AFC, which the AFC is stacked with players and teams. So
definitely they are. Definitely. And I gotta ask you this, my man. Speaking of quarterbacks, what you think about Jordan Love? Do you think he's the answer? And last but not least, what do you think the Packers are going to do this year?
I don't know, but I think they'll be better than probably most experts give them credit for. I know Packer fans are eagerly awaiting the start of the season. I think there'll be some bumps along the way, just a learning curve, establishing, talking about Jordan Love, establishing,
just a foundation around
it. Just this is my team.
Because they got all these new receivers there, like Watson and Romeo Dobbs and all these guys that they just drafted.
They've been working together. I've heard they've been working together, but still, there's no substitute for real game experience.
Right,
and they don't have that together yet. Jordan's played a little bit in the regular season. Some of those other guys you mentioned have played some in the regular season, but when you line up for real and it's your team, Jordan, I don't know what he'll do, but I think he's very capable of doing wonderful things. They got to protect. They got to call plays that will protect him and allow him to kind of play freely, whatever plays are. But I think they'll win more games than people give them credit for. I think the NFC North is wide open.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. The same. And then, it comes back to your boy, Mr. Aaron Rodgers. How do you think he's going to do with the Jets his first year, man?
Well, the Jets have an outstanding defense. They had that the last couple of years, but you didn't know it because they couldn't score points.
Right.
I think, if barring an injury, I think Aaron will do exceptionally well. I think they will compete for the AFC Championship. I really do. I think.
I think the same thing, man. With Garrett Wilson, all the weapons he has there, and just like a new scenery, I think he's going to do amazing as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch, but I think he'll do it. I think he'll do what they expect him to do, and that is lead him to the AFC Championship.
For sure. Brett, man, I really appreciate you coming up on my podcast
You
and
bet.
giving some insider knowledge and whatnot. And I hope the best of luck to you and your future endeavors for sure.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you
And
having me on.
anytime, and we will definitely connect in the future as well.
You bet.
Subscribe to my channel at the FFL. More podcasts with players and coaches to come. Take care, everyone.